Today I've been given the honor and privilege of introducing Ms. Sammy Graham, Mayor Bronson's nominee to serve as director of the Anchorage Public Library. As you are aware, Ms. Graham's nomination has been the subject of some controversy. So I'd like to take some extended time in my introduction to explain and clarify why Mayor Bronson has nominated Sammy for this position, a position for which she is eminently qualified. Sammy has graciously ceded to me some of the time she'd otherwise would have taken in her opening statement so that I can communicate our mayor's position on this nomination. I want to thank the Assembly in advance for your thoughtful consideration of the reasons behind this administration's support of Sammy, as well as for your consideration of the many statements of support on her behalf from the general public, including from former Governor Bill Walker. I understand he recently sent you a letter of support on Sammy's behalf. In short, even if the mayor were subject to the minimum qualifications for appointing a library director, an MLS degree currently would not be necessary because it's not required by the position description, a position description that was written and approved by the previous library director. The American Library Association, which in its own words is dedicated, quote, to providing leadership for the development and improvement of the profession of librarianship, does not require that its executive director possess an MLS. Rhetorical question, why would we require of our library director a degree that even the world's oldest and largest library association does not require of its chief executive? Another study published by the American Library Association found that 63% of library directors surveyed said that an MLS degree was not a requirement for all professional librarian positions at their respective libraries. 63%. The study concluded, quote, survey data indicate that in public libraries, hiring non-MLS librarians is common practice. And in academic libraries, this type of hiring is gaining momentum. Purpose of a library extends far beyond the organization of information, the maintenance of physical and digital resources, or the philosophy of information dissemination. It encompasses the promotion of literacy, learning, education, and the facilitation of community connections. In fact, the Anchorage Public Library's 2019 to 2021 strategic plan has, quote, 3 community focus areas, which include education, especially supporting literacy for our young children and continuing skills development for teens and adults. In a time when almost 60% of Anchorage's 3rd and 4th grade graders are illiterate, a number that swells to well over 70% for our school district's African-American children and Alaska Native and American Indian students, a library director with extensive experience in education and literacy is not just a nice to have, it's a need to have. Our literacy crisis this past year has likely compounded that issue, which makes Sammy's skill set all the more valuable. I want to close with by saying that the mayor understands, first of all, that there are some who are concerned that because Sammy does not possess an MLS degree, that would affect the library's ability to get state grants. I've been in communication with the state librarian and been informed that the only grant that the library has from the state, annual grant currently has, is a public library assistance grant in the amount of $35,000 per year. That is 0.004% of the library's $9.2 million budget this year, a fraction of that budget. And regardless, she can apply for a waiver of that requirement at the end. To conclude, our mayor has the utmost respect and appreciation for our professional librarians and for the MLS degree many of them have obtained. His nomination of Sammy Graham in no way is intended to minimize or dismiss the import of these degrees. He simply has nominated an excellent leader and administrator whose professional background and experience in all 3 components of our library's threefold mission will only enhance its success and the public good it provides our community. And I'll end with this. Mayor Bronson views our public library as an invaluable repository of human civilization, knowledge, and culture, as an important gathering grounds for communal connection and engagement, and as a critical center for learning and literacy. Jorge Luis Borges, the famous Argentine writer and essayist, wrote that he imagined paradise would be like a library, a welcoming place of wonder, knowledge, beauty, community, mystery, and adventure. Sammy Graham is the most qualified person to bring that metaphysical vision to life for all our library's patrons. I imagine each of us could use a little more paradise in our lives these days. Please confirm this wonderful Alaskan as the Anchorage Public Library's next director.
Here, I just can't let that go. I feel browbeaten by the speech that I just heard that went 20 minutes of an hour-long hearing. It was interesting you raised a quote from Jorge Luis Borges, because one of my favorite reads by him is The Library of Babel. One of the statements you made is that we have mistaken assertions about essentially our role and the functions we have to do here. You also asserted there's an unbroken history of confirmations of mayoral appointees. That is not, in fact, the case. There is precedent. You spoke of wooden reeds. You read about how if a director deems an equivalent qualification to be so, then it must be so. But in this case, this is a unique position, like all of the department heads, that the mayor appoints, and the assembly is in fact the judge of qualifications, not the mayor. He gets the first round, we have the second. And I would offer that the speech that I heard did not move me toward a confirmation, and in fact, may have worked against the good meeting that I had with Ms. Graham this week.
What we can do is connect the children and the people of Anchorage to literacy through the library. And the library needs to be that connection, that conduit to that. For whatever reason, maybe it was because of the renovations or because of the shutdown during COVID, not as many people are accessing the library. They don't know some of the cool things that are happening at the library.